better get right, champion. I'm a team, talking and talking me nice. I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, champion.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is YSN Live for this Monday, the 3rd of February, 2025. DJ Yokley, and yes, sir, he is back. Anthony Hartwig makes his triumphant return back to the airwaves. Anthony, how are you?
I'm so happy to be back. I mean, that was probably one of the roughest weeks I've ever had in like the life. From Friday to Friday, you know, you're hospitalized for 3 days. You come home from the hospital, and immediately as you get home, you can find out, oh, the hospital sent a care package home with me called whatever virus I had. I didn't get tested. I had something. So that knocked me down for the whole week, and finally starting to just feel normal again, which is just such a blessing to be able to just get back to normal life, get back to what I love doing, which is YSN, you know, going to a game tonight, got this show today. Just really happy to be back because it was not a fun 7 days at all.
And certainly your absence was felt. You know, there's so many heartwarming messages everywhere I went. I know everywhere everybody else went, they wanted to check on you. And certainly we wanted to keep your privacy a little bit. We were able to give a little bit away, you know, that it wasn't life-threatening or anything along those lines. But, you know, certainly there's a lot of people that care about you, buddy.
Yeah, I felt it all. I felt every comment, every message, every text. There were a couple of teams that, you know, sent care packages through the mail, just way above and beyond what I expected to get from people. But man, I felt loved all week. That was one of the positives of the week, definitely. The fact that the whole community, the whole YSN community, every community out there kind of rallied behind me. They wanted me to get better, and they were definitely worried. They were definitely concerned because, you know, when you don't know what's going on with someone, you just hear they're in the hospital, your mind jumps to the worst. So I had a lot of texts that originally thought that, you know, I was in one of those life-threatening situations, but thank God I wasn't. It was just a very painful couple of days in the hospital. But you know, I definitely felt the love, and I can't say how much I appreciate everyone out there that either commented on posts or sent me messages, sent me text messages, whatever they did to reach out. It was truly a blessing to feel all that this week.
We're happy you're back. We're happy you're home. We have, right off the jump, we have some breaking news, not necessarily out of the local area, but the National Football League, where Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns has requested a trade.
You don't usually see players go on Instagram and make almost like it felt like a kid transferring in college post. With that being said, I have asked for a trade from the Cleveland Browns. It was very interesting to see him handle it that way. But yeah, you know, he wants to go somewhere that he's going to be competing for a Super Bowl. And I don't necessarily blame him. I don't think Cleveland has that in their 2 or 3 year plan, and his career is starting to get on the downslope of the downhill. So, you know, he wants out. He wants to go to a competitor, and we'll see. Cleveland still has the control on where to trade him, so that'll be fun to see where he goes.
Well, I don't think it's going to be the AFC. I mean,
probably not.
I can't imagine. But
you know, I'm trying to think of maybe like the Vikings, someone that's competing for a division title, maybe the Bears with a new head coach.
But what you'd have to give up to get Myles Garrett in this scenario is, I mean, at least a one, I would imagine.
Yeah. They probably want a first-round draft pick at least.
It's no secret that I'm no Myles Garrett fan, but I will tell you this. I think that the way that he went about this was Bush League.
Right?
I mean, I would tell you right now that if I was the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, and I'm not, Andrew Berry, I would trade him away to the worst team on a desert island, maybe the second worst team because the Browns are pretty bad.
You're going to the Giants.
Yeah, congratulations, you're going to the Giants, or you're going like in Myles Garrett's head, he thinks that he's going to the Lions or I mean, where does he think he's going to go? There's nowhere out there, and I would also on the other side any general manager that wants Myles Garrett, that's obviously very talented. I'm sitting there going, okay, he's talented, but dude, you just put your entire organization on blast in front of the world. And you basically you became a you know what, a B word. Because listen, you sign a contract for X amount of years. You're committing to that X amount of years. The player does not have control in this to be able to walk in and say, you know what, I signed that contract, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I want me to trade me.
Or do it behind closed doors. Because guess what? Now there's 31 teams that sit there and go, oh, Myles Garrett wants to be traded. So there's no leverage for Cleveland. None.
Yeah, that's why I said it was weird. It felt like a transfer post that college kids make when when they enter the portal. The only difference is once you enter the portal, the school that you're at has no control over where you go. You're in the portal, you go wherever you want. You do that to the Browns where they're still under contract with you. They know and they have control over where you go. And, you know, that was not a very good look for him. I mean, from a Browns point of view, definitely.
I'm thinking out loud here, and it's still trying to sop up what's going on. How is this any different than the decision with LeBron James?
Right.
This is absolutely no different. And people were burning jerseys. They were swearing off LeBron. They were, I mean, and LeBron's from here, right? This guy's from what, Texas? I want to say he's from Texas. So you look at what Myles Garrett just did. Nobody ever had done what LeBron did before. Nobody. And Myles Garrett just did it without all the pomp and well, probably because nobody wanted.
Yeah, he just did it without the 3-hour broadcast. You know?
Yeah, without the United Way behind him, or whoever, or the Boys and Girls Club, or whoever it was. I mean, Anthony, this is not a good precedent to be setting. Are you drinking water?
Yeah, I am.
Attaboy.
Gotta take care of my kidneys.
That was problem number one that everybody said. Well, I mean, the kid drinks Mountain Dew nonstop. I was like, well, I can't argue that.
Right.
I'm proud of you for drinking water.
You got it, buddy. Lifestyle changes, man. No, less red meat too. Red
Welcome
meat
to your 30s, pal.
I know. Here it is.
That warranty's wearing off.
You said it last week. I really believe you.
35, buddy. 35. You start waking up, and you know you were just in a war.
Doesn't this Myles Garrett thing just scream Browns? Like, it's just Browns. Like, this is the stuff that happens
like, this
to
is
that organization.
This is what happens in Cleveland now.
Right.
Like, this is what happens, and it's disappointing. It's frustrating, I'm sure, for Browns fans and for Cleveland fans alike, because my aunt is one of the biggest Myles Garrett fans there are. And she said, I'm crushed. I'm crushed. I don't know how I would feel if Roethlisberger did this. You know, that is my Myles Garrett, right? That was my guy. Right. That was the savior of the city. I don't know how I would feel but I'm so glad that he didn't. You know what I mean? I'm because this is Myles Garrett has always thought he was bigger than the team. I'm going to put it out there right now. Browns fans might be too still into it but you could see that. I don't know anything on the inside. I would be willing to put my house on it that he was one of the problems for Baker Mayfield. And why Baker Mayfield was basically jettisoned from that locker room.
And you look at that locker room now, and you look around, and you're like, there's no one in that locker room to show Myles Garrett how to make good decisions or how to go about. There's no culture that's positive in that locker room. So I'm not surprised that he hasn't been able to make really great decisions in his career, because he doesn't have anyone in that locker room or in that organization that's going to be one of those dudes that guides people like, hey, maybe this isn't such a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't do this. There's nothing in there. There's no leader in that locker room. There's no example to look to. So he's supposed to be it, and he's not.
And so how do we tie this in? I mean, this is all, you and I talk about this all the time. How do we tie it in to local and regional to make our show? Because we're not a Cleveland Browns show. We're not a national, anything. The Browns and the Steelers are about as close as you can get. But how do we how do we spin this to localize it and make it a piece of content that people can be interested in and get engagement? Well, Anthony, I think it looks like this. If this were permitted inside the OHSAA, the PIAA, how would we take it then? If there was just a random kid that said, you know what, I'm no longer going to go to X school, I'm going to transfer, and I'm going here, and they were allowed to make those public the way that Myles Garrett just did. What culture? You mentioned culture. What culture are our high schoolers being educated with, being shown the way, so to speak, by these professional athletes? Is it a good culture to be following at this point where we are in the world?
I mean, I think we already see it a little bit, the culture of some of these teams. And, because now all of a sudden these players are looking at not just the NFL players, but the college players that can just say, I don't like the way this is going. The first 6 months of my college career, deuces, I'm going to hit the transfer portal. I'm going to go find somewhere else to play. And there are a lot of kids that are graduating, going to the draft that have been to like 4 different colleges. It's a lot of, you feel that the players have way more leverage than the coach. And I think there's a lot of players in high school that think that's the way it should be for them too. And so they'll go into the coach's office and they'll demand playing time. They'll demand that they deserve X, Y, and Z. And here in high school, like there's no yet you don't have a lot of leverage. I mean, you can quit the team if you want, but if you transfer somewhere, you're going to be sitting out for half the season.
The back half.
Or in the back half, which is now the most important half of the season. So, there's still a lot of leverage on the schools in the high school world. But if the leverage goes all those swings all the way to the players like it is in college right now, I don't think it would be a big leap to see this happening pretty quickly.
I just don't like it. I think
which is bad.
I think it's terrible. I think it is just very, 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 very bad and a very poor excuse for leadership. And, everybody looked at the leadership inside that locker room in Cleveland, and this was the guy leading. Like now you understand why, what was it? 3-win team in Cleveland,
right.
Like this, now it makes sense. Now it clicks. If that's your leader and your leaders, leaders eat last. And that's the terminology that you're always going to hear from me, from where I learned it from. This guy is, can you imagine if this was a war? Like, I'm good, guys. I'm going to go fight for the North.
Right.
I'm out. We'll see ya. Like, come on, man. You want to, and this is the guy that was out there barking at TJ Watt after the Browns won and, recognize. I mean, he acting like he's the tribal chief out there, like he's Roman Reigns, throwing up the ones in the air. He's the defensive player of the year, the reigning defensive player of the year. And get it, I understand. He's not going to have better value than he does probably last year, the last offseason. And he thought the Browns would be significantly better. It ain't going to happen. They're stuck. And now he's like, well, you know what? I love you all you fans. And the part, Anthony, and did you read the actual Instagram?
Yeah, I did. I read it right before the show.
The part that blew me away was it was never going to be Cleveland to Canton. What? Like, this is the guy that before he signed his contract says, I want to be in Cleveland my entire career.
It's easy to say that when you're making the playoffs 2 straight years. You feel then the organization goes to garbage, and all of a sudden I'm not going to be in Cleveland my whole career anymore.
I say this as just someone who loves to see karma in action. I hope they trade him away to the worst team. They get a haul back, and all of a sudden they go on and just get your recorder ready. They go on and win a Super Bowl without him, because man, that would be sweet.
That would be sitting there with a tape recorder right now.
Scotty is so excited, big smile on his face right now, because the biggest Steeler fan he knows just said, I hope the Browns win a Super Bowl. And if that's, I mean, I always feel for teams that have this happen to them. And it's a bad look for professional athletes. And I never rooted for Myles Garrett to begin with. Let's be honest. There is not a chance. He is enemy number one. Enemy number one. Watch him end up in Pittsburgh. Oh my God.
Then you gotta root for him.
I mean, I don't know. I would be so. It would be the same way that people with Deshaun Watson. I'd be like,
Right.
oh man. I'd cheer for him because he's wearing black. I'd cheer for the black and gold when it happened. It just happened to be Myles Garrett sack. But I don't think the Browns are going to necessarily make a trade with the
Probably
Pittsburgh
not.
Steelers. Probably not going to happen. We've seen it before. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, it's sad, just sad, Ant. Sad. And you know, Sam Torres, our dear friend Sam, probably in shambles right now. Even though he called it, he's been calling the trade of Myles Garrett since the trade deadline. Man, this is bad. Frustrating. I'm sure the people don't want to necessarily talk about Myles Garrett or hear about it or just hearing about it. And now, you know, we're the bearer of bad news.
Cleveland,
Sorry.
keep your eyes locked on the Cavs because it's the only thing you got going right now.
Guardians are coming.
Guardians are coming. But right now, it's Cavs season and they're what, like 34-9 or something?
They're the real deal.
So
Cavs are the real deal. How about over the weekend, that trade? Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. Whatever, how you pronounce his name. 77. That's how you pronounce his name.
In the middle of the season, those blockbuster trades usually happen off season. But man, that's probably one of the biggest blockbuster in season trades in the league's history.
I didn't think it was real. Like I thought it was just some made up trade because for some reason it came over on Facebook via Adam Schefter, and I was like, wait, what? Adam Schefter's reporting this? And I woke up in the middle of the night, right? And I was like, wait, what? And yeah, it's real. It's as legit as it gets. And then here's the other thing that I don't understand. Maybe you can help me out with a 2029 first round draft pick.
Yeah, I've never seen draft picks that far ahead before.
How far can you go? Can we trade a 2040?
I wonder if there's a limit. Like, do we have a limit on how far we can go, or can they technically trade draft picks in the 2030s if they want to?
How incredible would that be? Like the Steelers send their entire draft of the 2020 or 2033 draft to get, you know, unbelievable players. I don't know, man. The 2029, that's legit. Like that's 4 years away. Yeah, LeBron won't be playing at that point.
No.
I would imagine. Who knows? He's still playing at a very high clip.
And what's even crazier is like NFL. I mean, you're kind of an idea 4 years from now of where you might be in the draft. Like you're not going to make a significant jump from first pick of the draft, and then like in 4 years you're going to be 32. So you're going to be somewhere probably in that front half of the draft. But NBA, like it's a lottery, so you have a good chance if you're a bad team or whatever to get a good pick. But it's still a lottery. You have no idea if you're going to get that ping pong ball to come out your team or not.
Swiney says the NBA has a rule that you can only trade your first round pick every other year. So some teams trade all that every other year, Ant?
I guess. So like that means like so you can't trade a first round draft pick for next year. Is that what Mike's saying? I'm not a big NBA fan.
I think,
or does that mean
you can only trade your first round pick from every other year. So for this, it'd be 2029. So they wouldn't be allowed to trade it in 2028 or 2020 or 2030.
And they didn't want to train it in 27.
Maybe it's already gone. Maybe they traded it 2 years ago.
You're right. Maybe they already traded it.
You can trade 2026s, but not 2027s.
Oh, okay. I see. So the earliest they could have done is either this year or 2028, but they decided to make it 2029.
No, I think they might not have him. I mean, Remember they got LeBron. So, and they've traded away. I mean, Anthony Davis, I'm sure they traded stuff away to get, and they just swapped. LeBron changes his mind about everything, and they're like, okay, LeBron, whatever you want, we'll go trade away our 2029 draft pick or whatever it is. So, I mean, I think they actually got the 2029 draft pick.
LeBron's like, I won't be here anymore. Just get it.
Just trade them away. Trade them all away. Because, I mean, how long were the Lakers irrelevant?
Right.
Before that.
There's a big dry spell.
Because they had Kobe, and that's all they had, really. Pau Gasol and Kobe, and that was it. So, I don't know. The sports world's in flames right now. We need a reset. We need the Olympics or something to come and save us. Because realistically, Anthony, we are literally 6 days away from a whole lot of nothing to talk about. Pitchers and catchers report pretty soon. Next week, I think. But at that same token,
and then you got March Madness right around the corner.
It gets real tough. I mean, it gets real sticky. To be able to count on football for 20 some weeks out of the football, out of the season, out of the year, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's nice, right? Because you got something to talk about every Monday. It's just built in.
Right.
And now, I mean, Pro Bowl stinks.
Pro Bowl's not even. Remember, like we're the generation where we remember when they played like a legit game and the players cared about the Pro Bowl and they
wait a minute.
Like remember that Pro Bowl where Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees were all there on the same team?
Wasn't that was that Manning's last Pro Bowl and he had to make like a speech and be like, I'm not going down like this. We got to care about the Pro Bowl.
So it was him and the Colts. Brady was there from the Patriots, and then Brees was still playing for the Chargers. So it was before he got traded for the Saints when they decided to go to Phillip Rivers instead of Drew Brees. I'm sure they were happy with that decision at the end of Phillip Rivers' career.
Yikes!
But it was Tony G was there from the Chiefs. That was a long time ago.
Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl?
No. I saw clips of the quarterback accuracy competition with Goff and Burrow. But I didn't see the dodgeball and I didn't see the flag football.
Did you see the relay race?
No.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I love my wife dearly. She was the angriest human being I've ever seen. All because someone in the house had to say something about this is exactly what Olympics look like to me. And she got really, really upset. This is stupid. This is stupid. And I was like, yeah, it is. Because you know what? I'm not going to argue with her. When she gets hot like that, Anthony, rule number one, look for the exits. And if you can't find one, just agree with whatever she says.
Get in the turtle shell.
It was dumb. It was absolutely ridiculous. They had like power walkers. They had the linemen power walking. I don't know what to say. I mean, we're sports fans, right? They could be playing checkers or chess, and you and I would get into it if there's enough of a sport to it. I would have rather watched checkers or chess than watch.
Apparently, chess.com, this is on NFL Network this week, one of the random times I had it on. Chess.com has like an athletes tournament every year. And there's like a couple of NFL players that are like really, really good at chess apparently and that compete in it.
Who's the best chess player in the NFL?
I think they said someone that plays for the Cowboys.
Micah Parsons?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe him.
Wow. That would make sense.
I know Justin Reed was on the list of players to compete.
Oh, I thought you were going to say another Justin. I was going to say, well, he's been busy.
He's been busy.
All right, let's get to some of the local stuff. You've had a chance to watch a little bit, I hope.
Yes, I watched over the weekend and kind of got caught up with, there were a couple of league championships that were clinched over the week, which I got to catch up on, and then a couple of league championships that are right on the edge this week of being decided too.
Yeah, it's been a good week. Frustrating week for you, I'm sure, because
Yeah,
this has been one of the best weeks of the season when it comes to action. We've seen buzzer beaters, we've
Yep.
seen a little bit of everything. I had the distinct honor and pleasure to go to Cardinal Mooney on Saturday, where they had a pseudo doubleheader, I guess you could call it. One game was at 2:30, the other game was at 7. So it wasn't a back-to-back or anything like that, but the girls played first against Ursuline. The Holy War lived up to its name. Couldn't even finish the JV game because there was a lot of frustration, let's put it that way, going on the floor. So they ended it with just about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they just sent the teams to their locker room and let's play some varsity basketball. So the Cardinal Mooney Cardinals, dude, I don't know how their record is what it is because they play some tough basketball. Katie Pregabon, a career high, I believe, at 20 points, definitely season high. And she was on, but she also was hip tossed like she was in the Royal Rumble on Saturday to start the game. And it kind of shook the cobwebs out of her. And all of a sudden she starts hitting everything that she gets. Every time she touched the ball, it seemed like she put it in the hoop. So here is Katie Pregabon after her 20-point career high against her rival, Ursuline. All right, 20 points, Katie. You got hip toss at the beginning, kind of woke you up a little bit. Talk to me about how this game was for you.
It was definitely a physical game. We had to keep our energy up the whole time. That was our big focus today. Just play all 4 quarters the best that we can.
Physical game. Absolutely physical game. You saw it firsthand, but then all of a sudden you start finding the rack. You're hitting from outside. You're working the paint. Talk to me about, how you were able to keep finding the ball or your teammates were able to find you and you were able to find the basket.
We did a lot of passing and cutting today, so my teammates would drive to the paint and kick it out to me, and I just found my confidence today and just splashing threes and driving in.
Everybody talks about how big this game is. To have a career high in points during the Holy War, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I was very focused today, and I really wanted this game, so it really feels good.
To be able to really hang this one up, it's been a long season already. It's only going to get longer heading to the playoffs. A win like this, can this help propel you going in?
Definitely. This really brought our confidence up as a team.
Thank you, Katie. Giorgio, a big win over the biggest rival you have in Ursuline. Talk to me, a physical game from the jump, but you're able to walk away with one. What was working for you tonight?
Well, first, it's always a physical, competitive game with them. That's how it should be. We're bitter rivals, but kind of similar in ways too. So, you're going to get that. But what was working, we were able to execute our game plan a little better than we thought we had. We're not a big team. They have to do spots. We want to we did about 4 fouls, 3 of them.
Like that to keep them involved.
We played some girls that don't play as much, and credit to them, they stepped up and did awesome. They did their part. They played their role. It
looks like
I think 10 seconds into the game or 20 seconds into the game, one of our starters. So we had to go right to the bench right away, and that was awesome being able to count on some of those girls to bail us out there and help us.
Sammy also, always gets attention, but Katie has a career night today. When you're looking at Katie Pregabon and a game like today, what can that mean moving forward as you obviously have the draw tomorrow and going into the playoffs?
Yeah, and if you've been watching, our games, you can see her. She's been getting better and more confident on offense. That's the big key with her. She's been getting more confident on offense. And the last few games, we've been talking about it as coaches. she's been stepping up. Her shot is she's starting to knock down more consistent. She's always been a good shot, but at times in the beginning of the year was a little bit of a funk there. But she's starting to shoot with confidence. She's starting to handle the ball with confidence and driving, and she kind of put a little bit of it all together, today, and was able to do a little bit of all that today. So if she can continue doing that and be consistent there, that gives us another weapon scoring-wise, and that will be a hard team to beat.
I was going to say, speaking of confidence, how does this help you moving into the playoffs?
Yeah, this is huge. We our last game was actually a really big game for us. We were at Warren Harding, and we were double-digit leads the whole game. We just kind of folded at the end. We're learning how to win the tight games. They credit to them. They put pressure on us, and we kind of buckled a little bit, and we blew a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. Today we were in a similar situation, and you can see the difference. We played much smarter, much more confident, stronger with the ball, better decisions. That was a huge part of it. So the momentum that's going to give us that's because Ursuline's a good team. Our records aren't great right now, but the teams that we play, the two of us, not many teams around here play that except for the big schools, and that's who we play. So, I think we're both prepared well, and the confidence that gives us, I think the girls now can understand. We can play with just about anybody.
So there you heard it. An impressive win for Mooney. I mean, anytime you can beat Ursuline, whether it's home or away, it doesn't matter. It's to say that game was physical is, what an understatement. It was
Mooney this year, and under Coach Diorio every year he's been there. They always have a physical brand of basketball because they have never been the biggest team, so they've had to be physical. They've had to push people out of the way, get position, and so that's not surprising when you talk about that big of a rivalry. Ursuline's also pretty physical. Kennedy Carpenter is a very good young player, sophomore, I believe.
Yep.
And she's going to be a problem when she gets older and she develops even more. But those two teams going at it, that's just like it's a recipe for physical basketball. So I'm not shocked at all. And then I like what Coach Diorio ended. I mean, he knows how hard his schedule has been. He knows his record isn't exactly something that they wanted it to be, but they also know that they played one of the hardest schedules in the YSN family when it comes to the teams that pop up on Mooney's schedule. Ursuline's in the same boat. They're both almost independent. They played in the SVC, so they have 4 conference teams they have to worry about. Everywhere else, they're able to just go and play whoever they want, and their name just attracts big teams. So Mooney's definitely put themselves through the gauntlet, but it might prepare themselves for that Division 5 bracket.
I think it will. And you look at probably and I haven't had a chance to look necessarily even at the draw yet. I was planning on doing that later tonight, but it's one of those things that when you look at that, there's going to be some teams that are going to be hesitant, I'm sure, to put their name next to a Cardinal Mooney, given the fact that other coaches see the schedule that they have, and they're like, well, wait a minute, this is still Cardinal Mooney, just like Ursuline's still Ursuline. Kennedy Carpenter, you mentioned her. Dude, you think she's going to be a problem? I think she is. She already is. Yeah. And she is very early in LeBron's career. He was a pass first guy, right? Mm-hmm. Kennedy Carpenter is trying to facilitate the basketball and get her teammates involved. What I can tell you is that fourth quarter, there were moments where Joe Ham and I were sitting there going, okay, it is going to be the Kennedy Carpenter show, because they just could not. You don't have size and skill and speed and talent like Kennedy Carpenter just laying there on your bench. And they had 4 players. You heard Coach Diorio said 4 players, 4 starters with 4 fouls in that fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So they were laying off a little bit, and Coach turned to realize that and said, "Hey, 4, go to the bucket, get yours." And that she did there for a moment, and then it just, there weren't enough sands in the hourglass to get Ursuline that victory on Saturday, but they sure as hell fought. I'll tell you that. So
I think Kennedy Carpenter really benefited from freshman year going into the right situation where Lily Scott was there as a senior, and she had all that ball distribution that she was able to teach Kennedy Carpenter and how to be that kind of a leader on the floor. And now you're seeing it kind of trickle down as a sophomore year. Lily Scott graduates, goes to play college basketball, and now Kennedy Carpenter is becoming that player that is the ball handler and the leader on the floor for the Irish. Last year, she didn't really have to be. She just had to be that freshman stud. This year, it's okay. I got to step up my leadership game because now I'm the one that's on the everybody scouting report. I'm the one that's circled 3 times. I'm the one that's going to get people's attention. So I got to be able to distribute the ball really well. And she's been able to do that fantastic this season.
I had the second half of the doubleheader as well, where Cardinal Mooney played East Liverpool, a game that was canceled 1 or 2 times already this season. Finally got the game in the Bird Barn. And I'll tell you what, East Liverpool is who East Liverpool is. I mean, they are who we thought they were, Anthony. The real deal. When you look at they just got dudes. I mean, led by Cohen Pease. That's where it begins and it ends. Nate Birch went off again. Just beyond the arc, he's an absolute stud. And then they got this kid, Kirby, Deshaun Kirby, who is maybe the most fluid basketball player, and not just for a big man, just basketball player in general.
Mm-hmm.
He is a wagon, an absolute wagon. And you can't stop him. He's down inside. He can kick it from outside. Smooth stroke. Knows exactly where his hot zones are on the floor. And Mooney gave it to him every single time he wanted it because you can't cover 4 guys, 5 guys.
Exactly.
You know, they've got to pick their poison, and Liverpool made them pay. And it was I'll give you credit. It wasn't a blowout. Like, it wasn't mercy clock, but it was borderline. And one thing about Mooney is they're never, ever going to wave that white flag. Mm-hmm. They're never going to give up. They gave it their all. Caden Reese had a nice little game for himself. He's a baseball guy first and foremost, but he got it done on the basketball court. Dante Turner, a little stallion behind the three-point line. But you look at what Mooney doesn't have, and I had a conversation with a couple people. They don't have just pure basketball players.
Yeah, they lost a lot last year. You know, they lost a lot of those players they had last year that helped them a lot. Jabri Carter. I mean, I don't think people talked about how good of a point guard he was and how much he meant for Mooney last year enough. And, you know, to lose a guy like that not just has the basketball skills, but also has those point guard mental ability to know how to play that position. I think Mooney's really missing that. But I remember you said this during your Boardman broadcast way back when they played at Boardman beginning of the season. When Mooney hits tournament time, it's a different Cardinal Mooney, and they'll always be scary in the tournament. And Coach Palermo will have them more than ready for tournament time. And I promise you that.
There's no doubt. I mean, you can see that even losing to a non-conference, East Liverpool bothered him on the way out of the gym. You can see he was frustrated. He was having family time, so I wasn't about to go and bug him. I shook his hand and said, "Hey, Coach, we appreciate all you do." But you could tell Kerry's he's a warrior. He is a guy that loves battle, and the loss to East Liverpool, the way that they lost, probably kept him up on Saturday night. And, you know, especially as the draw is Sunday?
Yeah, yep. Draw Saturday. Brackets will be out Sunday.
You know, Mooney's going to be there. You know they're going to be there, and they are down a few. I mean, there are some devastating injuries that will carry over into what I believe to be football season for some of these youngsters. Right. And it sucks. It sucks. And you don't ever want to see that. But you can't restrict your kid from playing multiple sports. That's not the reason. Like, fear is not the reason to not let them play basketball or wrestling or hockey or whatever it may be, swimming and diving. I mean, even if it's not their number one sport, you can't live in your fears, as Mike Tomlin would say. You can't live in those fears because guess what? Final Destination tells me it doesn't matter what happens. Like, if you rip your quad or whatever, you were going to do it anyway, doing something else, like skipping down the road. So
I've seen just as many players get hurt training for their sport in the winter that I've seen, you know, get hurt playing a different sport in the winter. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
to recap that East Liverpool victory, ladies and gentlemen, Cade Reynolds. Reynolds, a big win tonight on the road at Cardinal Mooney. Talk about, I mean, you guys were running up and down the floor, a lot of different sets, and obviously a lot of points tonight for the Potters. Talk to me about what you saw from you guys.
Yeah, honestly, man, we got here. It's been a long time since we've been here, and the court's super, super big, and I think that plays to our advantage. Our guys like to get out and run, and surprisingly, at the end of a 20-day road trip, we still had some legs, and we got out and run. Our big men rebounded the ball well, and our guards got out and go, and we're tough to beat whenever we can play fast like that.
Got to use a little bit of your bench towards the end there. Talk to me about how valuable that is.
It's really nice, especially in a game like this. I mean, man, Mooney carries a lot of weight. They play a great schedule, and it's nice for our young guys to get in and get some experience like that, because there might be some foul trouble down the stretch, or a kid gets hurt, a kid gets sick. They need to have that experience in a really good game and a good atmosphere. So that was big for us to get them younger guys some minutes.
I mean, the big names came out. They shined bright tonight. Yeah. Cohen had an unbelievable game. First time I've seen Kirby. That dude is as fluid as water.
Yeah.
You're big guys. I mean, to be able to match up with a team like this that is a shutdown defense team, what does it mean?
Oh, it's huge, because I think at times we struggle against teams who can slow it down and play really good defense and are super fundamental. And man, when Deshaun's rebounding the ball like that, when he's outletting it, and when our guards are playing like they do, I mean, I thought Q had a great game, and I thought Cohen lit it up. And man, Nate Birch just hit shots whenever he's open. And we had some guys come off the bench like Gavin Knight who played really, really tough.
You got another week before the draw. How do you feel going into it?
Good. I think, like I said, we got tested a couple times on this long road trip, and I think, we had a 3-game skid. There's no way to hide that. But I think we're starting to peak at the right time, and that's good. We have a big test coming up the final day before the draw of Big Red, but I think that'll be good, and we'll be ready for it.
I mean, what else do you need to say? I've been preaching East Liverpool all season long. I love the way Cade Reynolds coaches. I love the way he lets his guys play. I love that they have probably more sets than I've seen ever on YSN. But that can work against you too, because your kids are used to playing one way, and that's transition basketball, and then just let them go, and to slow things down a little bit. But the hope is, I believe, that when you play a team like Cardinal Mooney, like they did on Saturday, that when you can run sets and you can run plays and you can run them successfully, you're going to be able to play with anybody out there. We all know they can go out and play street ball. We know they can do that. There's no doubt in any of our minds. Probably do it better than anybody. But how are you when the game slows down? When a team forces you to play just half-court basketball, how are you? And East Liverpool has progressively gotten better as the season's gone along.
I think the biggest example of that, they played Indian Creek, I think last week, and the scores were in the 30s. I mean, the Indian Creek slowed this game way, way down. And I think it went to overtime, actually, and East Liverpool was able to pull out the win. But just a game like that proving to themselves that, hey, if a team stops us from running, we can still go and play game-winning basketball and make plays down the stretch. That's a big momentum boost for the Potters, because, like Coach Reynolds says, they do struggle this year when teams try to slow down the game. So they have to get better at that, because if teams in the tournament see that on tape, hey, this team struggles, what do you think that team's going to do? We're going to try to slow down the game, So they have to be able to shore that up, and they look like they're doing that now as we get towards the end of the season. But it's so hard to guard. Like you said, East Liverpool, they have 4 or 5 deep that can go off for 10-plus points a game at any given day. So you can't really zero in on somebody. You can't stop one person and beat them. That's hard to defend.
Let's take a look at what we have tonight. Had a lot of games over the weekend, and significantly, as the season even wraps up, Anthony, I think we are out kicking our coverage here, because, I mean, we've got a bunch tonight, starting with Poland and South Range. Yours truly will be on the call tonight, 6:15 on the network. Cannot wait for that one. That's always a knockdown, grind them out kind of game. Southeast at LeBray. Austin Rowe, the newest YSN broadcaster, is going to be giving us his talents tonight at 6:15 as well. Then at 7 o'clock, Ty Bartell has, is it Avon Lake? Avon Lake.
Avon Lake. Yeah.
Avon Lake. Because there's Avonworth in Pennsylvania, which always screws me up. Avon Lake and Archbishop Hoban doing battle tonight, 7 p.m. Ty has the call there. Zach Svensson and Johnny Reyes have Cheney and Hubbard tonight at 7 p.m. Chris Sigler has Columbiana and United. There's some interesting, possibly championship on the line there.
Yeah,
possibly.
Columbiana, if they win, they have the outright EOAC in that game, because them United has one loss and they're one game up. So if Columbiana wins, they'll be 2 games up, and they'll clinch it.
Conneaut and Perry will be on the network as well at 7 p.m. Also, we have Max Hayes against Louisville. Rob Johnson will have the call for us at 7 p.m. From the Ville. We also have New Philadelphia and West Branch on the network tonight. And you have Springfield at Mineral Ridge. Do you have company tonight, I believe?
Nope, that's just me. It's going to be MVAC championship, first place on the line as well there too. Same idea. Springfield has one loss in the conference. It was to Mineral Ridge earlier in the season by 5 points. So Springfield wins tonight, they'll tie up the top, and if Mineral Ridge wins, they'll have that 2-game lead.
We have some boys basketball on the network, as well as Portersville Christian taking on Heartland Christian. Mark Franken, the voice of the Lions, will have that call for us tonight. That is your look at the games at a glance. Ant, final thoughts before we hit the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark?
A lot of championships on the line this week. This is when we kind of crown those best teams of the year. You know, NE8 is still way up in the air. There's still a lot to consider with the NE8, but Girard's in first place all alone right now after their win over the weekend against South Range. You got the MVAC gray tier. Crestview can clinch a share tonight, and then they'll have LeBray on Thursday to try to clinch a championship. The Scarlet tier, once again, Mineral Ridge, South Range. You got Columbiana going for a championship this week. Perry, if they win on the 5th, they'll tie up the conference and share it with Richmond Heights. So you got a lot of championships on the line in girls basketball in the last week of the regular season.
How do you not love that?
You gotta love it.
How do you not? And that's why we love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is time for the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical, and you can visit them. Yes, you can visit them right there on the web at DickeyElectric.com 24/7, 365. Please do that. All right, Ant, you've been out for a little over a week. I know you got a lot to talk about. What, my friend, is your spark?
My spark is just everyone that lifted me up this week, whether it be the people at YSN, my team, my dogs out there that really just picked him up. There was a lot to pick up because I do a lot when I'm healthy. So guys just kind of picked me up a little bit, showed very well that they have my back this week. So I can't thank the people that I go to war with at YSN enough for that. And then everyone out there from the communities that reached out, that gave supportive messages, that they were thinking of me. I can't thank you guys enough, because it was literally the one of the roughest weeks of my life. So to go through all that and to know that everyone had my back and to know that everyone was there for me, it was really something that got me through. I don't know if I would have been able to mentally get through all that emotionally too, without the people behind me. So thank you all for being able to do that for me.
We're happy you're back, buddy. There's nobody happier that you're back than yours truly. I can promise you that. 2 years ago tonight was one of the most, Anthony, you talk about life-changing and tough things. It was one of the most life-altering experiences that I've ever gone through. It is 2 years to the day of that derailment in East Palestine. And man, let me tell you, if we're talking real right now, what I've been trying to wrap my brain around is that I was on a trip for YSN in Las Vegas. I left here, in late January, and then came back after that train derailed. And it's been like a dream sequence ever since. Not being able to wake up and things go back to the way they were. It's been weird. It's been wild. It's been a learning experience. It's been something that, you learn something new every day about the situation. You learn something new about yourself. This business has gone through a lot. My family has gone through a lot. My community has gone through a ton. But what I can tell you is the resilience that we have been able to lean on each other. We have been able to lean on the truth. We've been able to lean on our faith has been the one thing that has got able to get us through the last 2 years. And there is no end in sight, which is good because it just continues to bring us closer and closer to our faith. And that we've been promised things that people will make it right, but we always know that God will always make it right. So if you see anybody from EP today, just let them know that you're thinking about them. No matter how much you think that their life did or did not change, it did. It did. So on behalf of all of us here at YSN, which is an East Palestine owned company, Brian Scott and myself, we're grateful for the support given around the world to our little community in East Palestine. And we hope you continue to do that and continue to pray and continue to support the people that are from East Palestine, Ohio. So thank you so much for all of that. That is going to do it for our show. Anthony, welcome back, buddy. I know you were chomping at the bit to get back, and I know you're still probably not 100%, but you were good enough to get on and get in. So welcome back, pal. We're happy to have you, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow and talking some more hoops.
Let's do it. Let's go. All
right. That is YSN Live for this 3rd of February. Also, screw you, Punxsutawney Phil. That's it for the show. We'll see you tomorrow right here on your Sports Network. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.